Well, it is Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. So I've got my head covered anyway. And for those of you who are observing Yom Kippur since sundown last night to sundown tonight, well, I don't know if there's a traditional Hebrew statement, which escapes me at the moment, but it's not like Happy Yom Kippur. It's May you be sealed in the book of life, kind of thing. And it's the Day of Atonement where we think about all of our shortcomings and circumstances that our shortcomings have caused in our lives. Well, and that's it's always a good thing. So far I've fasted because I haven't had breakfast yet. But what that all has to do with salt, sulfur, and mercury, which is what we're going to discuss, or at least have a little presentation about today, using Crowley material and images from the Tarot of Ceremonial Magic. Salt, sulfur, and mercury. All this alchemical stuff. I've been thinking alchemical stuff in the last couple of days because of some letters that you have sent me messages and questions. The idea of salt, sulfur, and mercury is not different per se to the idea of the four elements, and it doesn't exactly line up with the characteristics of three of the classic four elements. It's a thing in itself. And much like everything else in alchemy, it's a thing in itself. So I'm just going to read a couple of things from Crowley's work. And one of them is from Liber Turris, okay, which is a class, I believe, Class B document that is seldom talked about, because it deals with meditations of annihilation and things like that. But Liber Turris, that's Turris, subfigure 16. Okay, it's Class B. I'm just going to read a little section from it as it relates to what we're talking about. Now, this image right here, okay, you see it in the classic Wheel of Fortune tarot card, and of course this is our sort of primitive art, naive art, whatever you want to call it, but it's not as beautiful and as elaborate and gorgeous as many Wheel of Fortune cards, but it's got the right stuff in it, okay? And if we just wanted to pare it down, whittle it down to what it really, really is all about, the image would be as simple as that. And we see the Greek letters that are going to be representative of salt, sulfur, and mercury, or Typhon, Hermanubis, and the Sphinx. And over here is the sigil of the prison of shells. It's sort of the qliphothic flip side of the image here. The Hebrew letter is Kaf, and it's Jupiter, of course. But we've got represented here in the characters of Hermanubis, okay, the ape of Thoth, if you will, sort of type thing. Typhon, the wild, devilish kind of god. And the cool, collected, riddling, inscrutable, mysterious Sphinx at the top. Now, because tarot cards are just still objects, we don't see that this wheel is constantly turning. Okay. At the moment of this snapshot, the Sphinx is on top. And it may be for a very good reason that we see it that way. But the idea is that they're always in the process of one being on top, one getting ready to ascend, and another one that's going down. And they're never still. If they would be still, everything would drop into the center core and reach a singularity. It's like the eye in the hub of the wheel. Okay, anyway, from Liber Turris. I'm going to hold this up while I read it. This is just a little last section. Sulfur, salt, and Mercury. Which is master of the three? Salt is the lady of the sea. Lord of air is Mercury. Now, by God's grace, here is salt. By God's grace, here is salt. Fixed beneath the violet vault. Now, by God's love, purge it through with our right hermetic dew. Now, by God wherein we trust, be our sophic salt combust. Then at last the eye shall see 3 in 1 and 1 in 3, salt, sulfur, and mercury, crowned by heavenly alchemy. To the one who sent the 7, glory in the highest heaven. To the 7 who are the 10, glory on earth. Amen. Now, I'm going to turn to, thank you very much, tarot card there. No, I'm still going to use you here. I'm going to turn to Crowley's Rite of Jupiter. And the 3 officers of the Rite of Jupiter are Hermanubis, Typhon, and the Sphinx. And in the center of the wheel, sitting on a throne, is CICT, or Centrum in Centri Trigono, the center of the center of 3. And that's Jupiter, okay? Jupiter is enthroned there. And the temple is sort of like this, okay? The temple floor would be like that. And there's a curtain around the wheel, sort of like a conical shower curtain around the whole thing that can be opened and closed and stuff like that. But the main discussion is taking place between these 3 characters on the wheel, which will be representative of salt, sulfur, and mercury. Mercury being Hermanubis, sulfur being Typhon, the active, crazy, combustible guy, and salt as the Sphinx, which settles it all down and fixes it, okay? And it starts off by Typhon saying, "Hail unto thee, thou great god, Hermanubis! Art thou not the messenger of the gods?" And Hermanubis says, "Hail unto thee, thou great god, Typhon! Art thou not the executor of his vengeance?" And Typhon says, "Brother Hermanubis, what is the hour?" "Noon." "Brother Typhon, what is this place?" "The summit of Mount Olympus." "Brother Hermanubis, what is thy position on the wheel?" Hermanubis says, "On the rim of the wheel." "And thine?" "Upon the rim of the wheel." "Let us seek the center." That's what Hermanubis says. Let's seek the center. And so all three of them, see, the Sphinx hasn't said a word yet, okay? But all three of them get up and they walk faster and faster around the rim, returning exhausted in their places. Now, can be a great occasion for much tittering and laughter as the officers dressed however they're dressed. We always did it Greek style in togas and things. But they go around and around, they trip over each other's robes, and it's funny, but they never reach the center of the wheel, and they fall down exhausted at the end of that little piece of business. Typhon says, "Brother Hermanubis, we are no nearer to the center of the wheel." And Hermanubis says, "We are no nearer to the center of the wheel." And Typhon says, "Hast thou no message from the gods?" Hermanubis says, "None, brother." "Let us seek an oracle of the gods." They rise up and go around the rim, stopping, prostrating themselves before the Sphinx. And the Hermanubis, obviously he's one to talk first. Hermanubis says, "Hail unto thee that hast the secret of Jupiter. Declare unto us, we beseech thee, the mystery whereby we may approach the center of the wheel." Now, the Sphinx doesn't say anything, okay? It was Layla Waddell, okay, in the original cast, and she was a virtuosic violinist, so she picks up her violin. She doesn't say anything. She picks up her violin and plays a riddling, sarcastic music, okay? Now, Typhon freaks out at the sound of the riddling, sarcastic music, and he runs back to his place in terror. He freaks it out, hates that shit. But Hermanubis goes back to his place and is grooving out. He loves the riddling, sarcastic music, and it's activating a change in his bliss consciousness, while Typhon is just totally freaked. Now the Sphinx says something when she sees that reaction. "Neither by sloth nor by activity may even my secret be attained. Neither by emotion nor by reason may even I be understood. How then shall ye come to the center of the wheel?" And Hermanubis said, "Mother of mystery, what is thy position on Olympus?" And she says, "Oh, upon the rim of the wheel." Okay, that discussion has sort of reached a mysterious, enigmatic pause. Then Jupiter himself, or CICT, or Centrum in Centri Trigono, knocks. He starts to speak. And he says, feeling, thought, and ecstasy are but the cerements of me. Thrown off like planets from the sun, ye are but satellites of the one. But should your revolution stop, ye would inevitably drop headlong into the central soul. And all the parts become the whole. Sloth, activity, and peace. When will ye learn that ye must cease? And Typhon says, how should I cease from lethargy? And Hermanubis says, how should I quench activity? And then CICT says, what shines upon your forehead? And they all say together, the eye and the triangle. CICT says, what burns upon your breasts? And they all say, the rosy cross. Okay, so in other words, he's simply asking them to identify themselves. Are they or are they not initiates? Are they not pledged to the great work? Okay. Before he starts talking anymore, he wants to make sure he's talking to serious initiates. And then he says, brethren of the rosy cross, aspirants to the silver star. Not until these are ended can ye come to the center of the wheel. Now don't read that wrong. I don't believe he is saying, brethren of the rosy cross and the silver star, not until these are ended. He's addressing them as that. And what he says, what he means by not until these are ended, he's talking about feeling, thought, and ecstasy. Not until these are ended can you come to the center of the wheel. And then he gets up. I usually got up when I played that role, and I took my my regal staff with an eagle on the top of it, and I started to rotate the bottom of my staff like this, out in front of me. I held it out in front of me and rotated it like that as I recited this poem. When the chill of earth black-breasted is uplifted at the glance of the red sun million-crested, and the forest blossoms dance with the light that stirs and lusters of the dawn, and with the bloom of the wind's cheek as it clusters from the hidden valley's gloom, then I walk in woodland spaces, musing on the solemn ways of the immemorial places shut behind the starry rays of the east in all its splendor, of the west in all its peace. And the stubborn light grows tender, and the hard sounds hush and cease. In the wheel of heaven revolving, mysteries of death and birth, in the womb of time dissolving, shape anew a heaven and earth. Ever changing, ever growing, ever dwindling, ever dear, ever worth the passion glowing to distill a doubtful tear. These are with me, these are of me, these approve me, these obey. Choose me, move me, fear me, love me, master of the night and day. These are real, these illusion. I am of them false or frail, true or lasting. All is fusion in the spirit's shadow veil. Till the knowledge lotus flowering hides the world beneath its stem, neither I nor God life showering find a counterpart in them. As a spirit in a vision shows a countenance of fear, laughs the looker to derision, only comes to disappear. Gods and mortals, mind and matter in the glowing bud dissever. Vein from vein they rend and shatter and are nothingness forever. In the blessed, the enlightened perfect eyes, these visions pass. Pass and cease. Poor shadows, frightened, leave no stain upon the glass. One last stroke, O heart-free master, one last certain calm of will, and the maker of disaster shall be stricken and grow still. Burn thou to the core of matter, to the spirit's utmost flame, consciousness and sense to shatter, ruin sight and form and name. Shatter, lake reflected spectre, lake rise up in mist to sun. Sun dissolve in showers of nectar, and the master's work is done. Nectar perfume, gently stealing, masterful and sweet and strong, cleanse the world with light of healing in the ancient house of wrong. Free a million mortals on the wheel of being tossed. Open wide the mystic portals and be altogether lost. And that's where we'll end it today. If you're interested in finding out more about this, and you have a complete copy of Equinox number 1, this is, or volume 1, this is number 6 of the Equinox. It contains all the rites of Eleusis and Liber Turris and other wonderful things. So, if you're fasting, I hope that the sun starts to go down really early so you can have your breakfast at sunset. Anyway, until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself, be good to each other. Salt, sulfur, and mercury. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.